and then you got the Luis Diaz
Diaz.
dilemma. So I want to come to the Luis Diaz dilemma, the weekly Luis Diaz dilemma. Welshmo, I beg your pardon. Luis Diaz scenario. The scenario we face is we're not prepared to give him a new contract. He wants a new contract. In my opinion, he doesn't want to go. He preferred to stay, but if we're not going to give him a deal, he's saying, let me go. Liverpool are saying, we'll let you go if we receive X amount. Where do you stand on this whole situation scenario? How do you deal with this if you're the ownership? And how do you react if you're a player in this situation?
It's a tricky one because part of me wants to keep Luis Diaz and part of me feels sorry for him if we're ready to believe that he's on the kind of wage he is on.
Forget that he's not on that wages. No, he's not.
Yeah.
So scrap that, everyone.
Okay, so, but the other half of me is thinking, okay, think it with your business head on. You know, he's 28. If we give him a contract for another 2-3 years and double his wages or whatever, it'll take him to 31. Where is actually the sell-on value there? Now, let's remember, I think we bought Diaz for, 35 million? Is around that sweet spot mark, wouldn't it? 35 million, I think, you know? If someone says to you, like, you can get 70 million back to go and reinvest elsewhere, then I'd probably take that if that option is available, if it's a Rodrigo or a Malik Fofana, you know, so to give two examples. I agree with you. I don't think he wants to leave. I think quite a lot of the players like him, and there's a chemistry there you can see on the training videos, you know, and there's a character there. But again, the other side of me says he's been twerking for a leave after the first year he joined Liverpool, like, and that's always in the back of our heads, like, you know.
But has he though, guys? This is what I want to bring.
Not him, probably his dad more than anything. But
who gives a shit about his dad ultimately, guys? Like the player has given his blood, sweat, and tears for our club. Right? I honestly, God, I couldn't give two shits about his dad. Right, his dad can be the biggest partier, dancing on the sidelines, doing what he's got to do, making noises. I'm looking at the commitment of the player, guys. Well, have we got an issue? Have we got an issue with the commitment and the desire of the player?
No, I don't think so, because he was our second top scorer last year. That says it all.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's no desire on work rate. You can see he's still turning up to training. He's still giving his all when he's on the pitch.
He's one of the hardest working attackers in world football, guys.
Yeah, and without Nunes being in the team, which has been quite frequently in the last 10, 15 games, he starts to press off, Diaz does. So he's very important from that perspective, like, you know, if we're playing that pressing game. Obviously, I think our game's going to change a little bit because last year we had most possession. I think only Man City had more possession than us. So we're very possession focused. And hence we're getting players like Ekitike and hopefully Isak, who are better against low block teams, who can find spaces against low block teams, because we didn't have that opportunity to play past the defenders or through the defenders for Nunes, you know, who likes running onto balls. So our game's gonna change. But Diaz, I think his versatility is another thing that we need to touch on, because like you said, we've lost, you know, and we've come short on a few forward players there. If we don't get the people we want to get remaining in the market, is it wise to let go of Diaz with his versatility? So it's a tricky one. It really is. I'm sitting I'm sitting somewhere where if he goes for 70 odd million and we reinvest that, I'll be happy with that. If he stays and puts in another 15 goals a season, I'll be happy with that. It's one of them ones. That's for me personally. I don't know what you guys think.
Ben, it's true, and it is a tricky one. I keep changing my mind on it. I think I ended up agreeing with Welshmo about I'm happy with any outcome, you know.
I also don't want anyone at the club who doesn't want to be there, and he's wanted to go for a while. Do you know what I mean? He's a good player. I like Diaz. Don't get me wrong. I do like Diaz. But he's not acted the greatest this summer, has he? Let's be honest. If they get 70 million, I'd be shocked if they didn't take that. I really would be shocked, because I'm at the point now. I also think that Liverpool aren't really looking great in this situation, because you can't just keep him if he wants to go. And you can't say you're not going to give him a deal. So if you're keeping him, give him a deal then. Because what the fuck are you keeping him for? Just pointless, because if you're turning down.
What do you think the thinking is behind that, guys? Let's just focus on that one. Why don't we want to
play though? Don't they? That they just try and take advantage of and be forceful with it. I actually don't think they like the way it's carried on in the background, to be fair.
But then sell him then, Ben. But then sell him then.
Well, they're waiting for the right offer.
apparently the deal. So I went back to Fabrizio's tweet from when we signed him, and apparently the deal was £40 million, but then after 5 years we have to pay another 20 million to Porto. So supposedly we've been waiting to cover the cost of that. That's why we've been trying to ramp the price up so high with buying.
Oh, interesting.
I honestly, God, I often know the plan and you can see the vision, but if that's the case, Ben, why are we adamant that we want X number for him? If we don't rate him enough, or we don't, I don't know about respect. You know the word I'm trying to look for, like value. If we don't value him enough to give him a new deal, right? Because he's not old, 28. I know we don't like giving old players.
Category though, Chris, doesn't he? He's not a valuable asset to the club really, because they'll all want 4-year deals. So that takes him to 32. He's 29 this year.
Then why are we wanting 70 million for him, Ben? This
I think 70 million is a good number for him personally. Because if you look at the players that have left, pardon me, Madweki, all these, we've now got a price above them, and I think that's fair. If they were offering the silly prices that they have done, like even the similar thing with Nunes, 42 million, what fucking planet is Napoli on, for instance? I think 70 is about right. Because if we keep him, I just don't understand that from the club. I personally don't, because we can literally go and find someone with that money, and we can utilise their terms. I think they will take it, but if they didn't, I'd be gobsmacked and I wouldn't understand what the club are doing. Because you know what? He's a cracking player on his day. He works hard. But I think if we force him to stay, we ain't going to start seeing that as much anymore, because he's going to be getting pissed off with Liverpool.
Yeah, I don't think we should force him to stay, Lou. What's your verdict, and how are you going to deal with this? And I want to, very briefly, I want you to give me the sort of the few different viewpoints from the ownership, what they're trying to do here. Coach, I think the coach is a fan. I think Slot really likes Diaz, guys. Don't know what you guys think. I think he really wants him to stay. I disagree with Ben. I don't think he wants out as his first choice. I think his first choice is give me a deal, but we're not going to give him a deal. That's very apparent. So what's going on here?
Well, he said, I'd prefer to stay, but if the deal comes in and I'm not being offered a new contract, then let me go. And, like, you know, if the plan wasn't to give him a new deal, like Ben said, what's the point in keeping him? We're not going to up his wages. He's going to be 30 soon. We're not going to give a long-term deal to him. Like, the fact that we gave Salah and Van Dijk one is a miracle, because in our minds, we were all convinced this isn't what the club do. They don't give contracts this big to players of that age. Diaz is a talented player, and I agree with you. I do think Slot likes him because he gives you that extra layer of versatility, capable of playing through the middle, capable of playing either wing. He had very good purple patches last season, but he does have big dips in form. He went 6 matches without contributing midway through the season. Before that, he had 1 assist and then 3 matches off, 1 assist, 3 matches off. I think if we're trying to ramp up the price to cover the full cost, just do it now, because Bayern have said that this is going to be the last offer that we give, and maybe the ownership are just trying to haggle like they've done in the past 1 billion times with Benteke and Ibe and Solanke, etc. But we can't keep pushing it. You keep pushing your luck, eventually they're going to go, you know what, we're not interested, and then no one is going to come in for that money. If Diaz doesn't want to be there, no one else is going to bid that money unless it's Saudi. If Diaz doesn't want to be there, if Diaz does not want to be at the club anymore, I 100% agree with Ben, get shot, because I don't want people who aren't interested in being at the club. If his role is to stay, if he decides, I want to stay, give me a new deal, fine. But if he's not getting the new deal, flog him for a high price, use that money to invest in a centre-back and a Fofana, if that's what your role is.
Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we've got a history, and I'm going to come to you, Scousman. I don't think we've got a history of keeping unhappy players. We normally get rid, like Coutinho, for example. That's the best example, isn't it? We didn't want to be at the club, and we said, all right, fair enough. When Barca give us that money, off you pop. I don't think we like keeping unhappy players. That's why I think if we keep him, he won't be unhappy. But what do you do in this situation? Have you changed your mind to and fro? Or are you still adamant? Have you got one viewpoint?
No, I can't disagree with anything the lads have said so far. But the one thing I was going to ask is, why do you think he's unhappy? Because from these videos that we're seeing in training so far, he looks like he's happy. He looks like he's in a good place.
It's the money.
It's the money, of course, but like, didn't you just say, like, let's not talk about the wage because his wage is a lot higher than what's being reported of like 70?
But it's not a patch on what he deserves. And I'm normally wherever the nerds agree and management, I'm always pro nerds and management because they know what the f they're doing, right? But even I'm saying Diaz deserves more from what he's put in. For me, that's just my personal opinion. You guys can disagree if you want.
I mean, I can't got to disagree with that, to be honest, because going off what Lou just said, he does have purple patches, but then he also has long stretches within the season where he is just ineffective, pretty much. He won't score, he won't assist. Although he's a pressing demon, then he's everywhere, and he gives 100% every time he's on that pitch, which is amazing. That shouldn't equate to him earning 200, 250k plus for 4 years until he's 32.
No, I get that. Yeah,
I don't think that should ever be the case. Like the guy himself, like Luis Díaz, do you know what my thoughts are on Luis Díaz for so many years now? Like, I think he is a good player, but he's not a great player. He's not someone that you're going to be like very upset about if he leaves. And there's definitely options out there that are available that we can replace him with. Younger, cheaper options that have got much higher ceiling, who can impact this team a lot better. That's my personal opinion. And the thing is, the guys have already touched on this, so I'm just echoing their thoughts again. Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, the board, they drive a very hard bargain. We've seen it before. We've reset a valuation for Luis Díaz with that being £70 million. We're getting that £70 million, or we're not selling them. It's as simple as that. And there's reports that already came out that said, well, we'll get the valuation that we want this summer. If we can't, then we can just run down the contract and then he can leave on a free at the end of, is it 2 years he's got left on his contract? I think. Yeah. So like in 2 years' time, he can just leave on a free, which is quite ruthless. Not something that we usually do because we usually do cashing on our assets. It's just been this summer has just been completely different the way we've approached transfers and stuff. The question I was going to ask the lads and everybody else is, if Diaz does leave and Nunes does leave as well, as we've kind of agreed them to have left, and of course what happened to Jota with the unfortunate situation there, and Chiesa as well, that would technically leave us right now with 3 players. So what is the ideal number of attackers that you would want in the squad for next season? So last season,
this is where I was going to segue into this next part. So if we decided, and I think we all agree that if we reach a certain point figure-wise, we have to let Diaz go, right? So we all agree with that. And someone said world class. I think you just said there that he's not world class. Now I want to know. So who's your replacements? Because you need a high-level operator. I think Luis Díaz is a high-level operator. Again, just my opinion. So this is where we go. Before we go further, guys, there's probably in total on all platforms close to 6,000 people watching this stream. You guys are mad. I told you this show is going to kick off and it's going to blow up. It's about 600-700 on YouTube, 5,000 on Twitter. And as I said, I don't even know Facebook because I've stopped using Facebook about years ago. My account got banned for stalking. But I'm joking. Don't go there, Grizz. What next then? And I want to come to you, Welsh Mofos. I want you to give me your options in your head. Because today, Jimbo, Bad News Pierce, has come out and said, all talk of Rodrigo, and I'm paraphrasing, all talk of Rodrigo is a bit premature. There's not many links or talks at the moment. Or have you got anyone else in mind? Of course, we have Malik Fofana mentioned, who's a younger, inexperienced, sort of potentially world-class player. I don't think not on Luis Díaz's level yet closely. Or we got Gordon, who's a bit splits opinion. Where do you want to go with this? What's the plan next then? Because I think we've all voted out Diaz. I haven't, but hey, who cares? That's just me. I've been outvoted. We've voted out Diaz. What's next?
I think first part of that question, I think ideal number in my head is having 5 to 6 attackers. So okay, we got Gakpo, Salah, Ekitike. They're 3. I think Slot wants 2 people, I read, in every position, 2 very high quality people. So let's just say in a crazy world that we live in right now, that we do get Isak. Okay? So we got Isak, Ekitike, Salah, and Gakpo. If we do get Isak, hypothetical thing 1, then I would add just 1 more versatile winger. Someone who can play left or right. It doesn't have to be a banger. A Malik Fofana or a project will do. But someone who's versatile enough to cover, left mainly, because let's all be honest. I think Frimpong's going to cover Salah whilst he's away on African duty. And the way Bradley's started as well, I think you'll see a lot of ping pong coming on for Mo as well if he hasn't started the game. So that's my opinion there. So with that in mind, I think let's just say we sign Isak. I think we only need one more versatile winger to cover the left. If we don't sign Isak, then I think we need potentially 2 more players that are either can play up front or play wing. So that's where I am in my head, if that makes sense.
No, that I agree with that. Anyone else want to chime in on that? Because I agree. I think Mohan, correct me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is if we get a banger and break the world record transfer fee for Isak, then we can, or we have to, make do with a project winger stroke forward like a Malik Fofana. But if we don't, then we need to go big again and get someone certified to play on the wing, and then maybe go for a budget journeyman type striker. I'm just putting a name out there, like a Mateta.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
As long as it's another banging winger though, because to replace Lucho, I'm telling you now, guys, it's not going to be easy. Go on, Mo. I think you want to come in.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely spot on, and it's so frustrating. James Pierce came out with he completely squashed the Rodrigo links, because for me, I thought that was the most perfect, most sensible.
Okay, so you're fixed.
I was Team Rodrigo. Like honestly, I thought ship out Diaz and you invest that money in a young Rodrigo who's got vast amounts of experience and immense quality. Thought that would just be ideal and perfect. But obviously, he's poured water over it, and who knows whether that's actually going to happen now. The other point that I was going to mention, and I completely agree with Welshmo, the other option that we also have is the potential of Vert playing on the wing, potentially playing as a false 9.
What do you think about that one, guys?
I mean, it's an option. I'm not saying I don't think that.
Yeah. I mean, I think we'll probably see that come AFCON time a lot more than we will.
I think he will be our creative attacking midfielder. Like he'll be our 10. But there is the versatility, the option of him playing left wing sometimes, maybe even as a false 9. But I completely agree with what Welshmo said. We'll need 5 or 6 attackers, depending on how big of a signing that we make. If it's Isak, then I understand we can get that project like a Malik Fofana. But if not, then Diaz leaves, Nunes leaves. We'll need to bring in someone big. And that's when I agree with you, Grizz, because if Rodrigo's off the table, there's not many suitable replacements for Diaz, honestly. There really isn't.
Not of that stature and that level. I mean, people have mentioned Rafael Leao, who's he's talented, but the most inconsistent, player you find.
Around the pitch.
He walks around the pitch. Ben, last season we went into the attack with obviously, rest his soul, Jota, Diaz, Nunes, Gakpo, Salah, Chiesa. 6. Now Chiesa, do we count him? So for example, let's not count him for now. That leaves 5. Obviously, we know Jota and, as I said, Nunes and Diaz likely to go as well now. That leaves Gakpo and Salah and Ekitike. Ben, what you doing? This is what I was gonna say. This is what I love about you, son. You read my mind like an absolute.
Otherwise, what's the point of having them all?
Does Rio come into the equation?
He definitely does.
So then what do you do with the side? How many are you bringing in then?
Look, I think if Nunes is going, we have to bring in another forward. You can't just have Ekitike on his own, because this is the problem that we've got, isn't it? Like that's the $1 million question, Isak, isn't it? I think there's only 2 signings, in my opinion, that Liverpool could be looking to bring in, one of them, Rodrigo or Isak, because if you're bringing in a young winger to replace Diaz with a young forward, you're asking for trouble. Because I'm sorry you are, because that is a big thing. I'm on your side, because Diaz has quality, honestly. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I want to run on the pitch and fucking slide tackle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But Liverpool have to be smart about it. If you're replacing Diaz, the best like for like is Rodrigo. But I do agree. Rio's got to come into the fold, otherwise you can't have these kids. What's the point? The fact he's playing games now speaks volumes. And I think that's the reason why he took the move to Liverpool, because of the career path. You can see it now. So we've got to give him time to develop. Yeah. And to be honest, by the looks of it, I think the manager will probably trust Rio more than bloody Chiesa.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I guarantee, guys, Rio gets more minutes this season than Chiesa got last season. Guaranteed. I think he plays in every single League Cup game.
And for a start. Rightly so. He's got talent. And, mate, I watched today that Arsenal game and that Max, what's his
Max Woodman.
Yeah, what's his name? Dowman, Max Dowman.
Dowman.
He come on and he didn't look out of place. And I think Rio will be like that. You know, he's not going to start league games, of course not. But I think it's important to have him in there now. You know, I've seen people talking on loan and stuff. I wouldn't be doing that because our players are better than most players in world football. We're a top 3 club. Him training with our lads, he's automatically going to become top draw. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Take out of half the players and the training videos. You know what I mean? So, but this is the thing. If he's coming in, I see him only as one position in that front line. Now. He's only a left winger for me.
Yeah.
So it shows we have to bring in a number 9, another number 9, in my opinion. Let's say, for instance, Liverpool don't get the money and they go in with Nunes. I think that's dangerous for Liverpool. Ekitike and Nunes. Because,
is there a chance, lads? Are we thinking if we don't...
a chance? Because if they don't pay, he stays. Simple as that. And I'm going to say this now, and it might come across different, but in the club's eyes, with the catastrophic event, you know, losing Jota, you know, God rest his soul, and then Trent going on a free, the club are down big money. This is probably why they're holding out for big money for Diaz and Nunes. Yeah, rightfully so. Money doesn't grow on trees. I'm seeing people saying just go and buy Isak and Rodrigo, and I'm like, you know, Johnny's still around, you know. You know what I mean? So we've got to be careful, but there's a reason why they're holding out for fees, because they still need to cover their asses, let's be real about it. But if they don't sign like an experienced number 9, for instance, or an experienced winger, you know, it could be the downfall, because they've got to be careful.
Yeah.
People are getting a bit mixed up here. Joyce didn't say we're spending 300 million more, guys. Guys, come on, some of you, man. You guys know I can be very harsh when you make silly comments like that. I'm being nice to you lot today so far. Don't let me switch on you lot and tell how thick you are. Well, how did he say we're going to spend 300 million more? He didn't say that. Gosh, yeah, laugh about it now, Bob. Why don't you think about it?
One must be locked in a basement somewhere.
You know what I mean, Bob? What he said was we're going to continue. We're going to probably hit the 300 million mark, because how much have we spent, guys, so far today? Verts was how much? 100 odd, right? Frimpong was
35.
50.
Frimpong was 29.
So how much altogether?
Kirkes
was 40. Vert is 100 and potentially 116, but let's just say it's 100 and then
100. So that's 179 between 3 players there. And then
today,
what was it? Ekitike fee today?
70.
So 179 and Renee had 70. It's 250. Just under 250 we spent.
Right. So what Joyce is alluding to is we're going to probably cross the 300 million mark in the summer, and that's what makes sense, guys. It doesn't make sense for us to spend another 300 million. What the which effing planet you guys living on? But anyway,
can I throw something out there? I said something. I think one of the first shows we did, we were talking about transfers. I got ridiculed for this, so I'm going to bring it up again. I said, I said, in a crazy world, if we can't get the targets, is it worthwhile trying to get a cheeky loan? You know, a striker in. And I mentioned Gonzalo Ramos, the PSG striker. And everybody laughed on the screen, you know. But now, in the situation we're in now, would that be a crazy idea now?
No.
Well, it depends on the wide man you get, right? Because that coincides with, if we get a Rodrigo, then we're going to have to get a cheeky...
Like if we can't get Isak, I meant, and then a loan for a year, for example.
But we don't. The thing is, we don't really do loans, guys.
I know we don't. I'm just throwing it out there.
You do a cheap offer for Ollie Watkins.
Something like that.
Yeah, well, that's another thing I was going to mention is, look, if we're going to go down that route, I'd rather go down a route. Unfortunately, to say it, which Man United have done, they've got proven Premiership scorers now. So who's left in the top scorer list that we can potentially look at? And Watkins probably is the only name that stands out, like, you know.
I'd have Mateta. I won't lie.
Yeah, Mateta as well as the other one. Watkins and Mateta.
Yeah, but Palace won't be ripped off
Brilliant.
like that.
We want Gay as well.